This 30-second habit could add years to your life. Most people walk right past the most powerful tool for improving their health that exists in every grocery store. And today I am going to show you exactly what that tool is and why it matters so much for your vitality as you age. Welcome, my name is Andrew. I am your host of the Senior Health Report. As a senior myself, I share your deep interest in maintaining good health. Here we will explore the truths, the myths, and the lies of what it takes to be healthy. If you are finding these insights valuable, please comment below to let me know you're here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Now let's move forward. The food industry has become incredibly sophisticated at making unhealthy products appear nutritious, and unfortunately many of us have fallen for their clever marketing tactics for decades. We see labels proclaiming organic, vegan, gluten-free, fat-free, and no sugar added, and we assume these products must be good for us. The truth is far more complicated, and understanding how to properly read a food label can be the difference between thriving in your senior years and struggling with preventable health challenges. Let me start by explaining why this matters specifically for seniors. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at processing glucose, which is the sugar that circulates in our bloodstream after we eat carbohydrates. When we experience rapid spikes in blood glucose, it triggers a cascade of effects throughout our bodies, including inflammation, oxidative stress, hormonal imbalances, and accelerated aging at the cellular level. Research from institutions like Cornell University has demonstrated that the way we eat and the foods we choose have profound impacts on our glucose levels and, by extension, on virtually every aspect of our health. These glucose spikes contribute to fatigue, brain fog, increased hunger and cravings, poor sleep quality, accelerated skin aging, increased risk of chronic diseases including type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cognitive decline. The good news is that by learning to read food labels properly, you can make choices that keep your glucose levels stable and support your body's natural healing and maintenance processes. Now, let me walk you through exactly what I look for when I pick up any packaged food at the grocery store. The first and most important rule is to completely ignore the front of the package. I know this sounds counterintuitive because the front is designed to catch your attention with beautiful images and health claims, but that is precisely the problem. Food manufacturers spend millions of dollars on packaging designed to distract you from what is actually inside. They know that terms like organic, natural, vegan, and gluten-free create a health halo effect that makes you think the product is nutritious even when it might be loaded with sugar and lacking in beneficial nutrients. Instead, immediately flip the package over and look at two specific areas: the ingredients list and the nutrition facts panel. Let me explain what to look for in each. Starting with the ingredients list, you need to know that ingredients are required by law to be listed in descending order by weight. This means the first ingredient listed is present in the highest amount, and the last ingredient is present in the smallest amount. The single most important thing I look for in the ingredients list is the position of sugar. If sugar appears in the top 5 ingredients, I know immediately that this food is essentially a dessert regardless of what the front of the package claims. This applies even to foods that do not taste particularly sweet, because sugar is often added to processed foods to enhance flavor, improve texture, extend shelf life, and yes, to make the product more addictive by triggering dopamine responses in our brains. Now here is where it gets tricky, because food manufacturers know that consumers have become wary of seeing sugar listed prominently. So they have developed dozens of different names for sugar that make it harder to identify. You might see terms like dextrose, fructose, maltose, lactose, sucrose, glucose, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, malt syrup, rice syrup, maple syrup, agave nectar, honey, molasses, cane juice, evaporated cane juice, fruit juice concentrate, and many others. All of these are forms of sugar, and they all have the potential to spike your blood glucose. If you see multiple forms of sugar listed throughout the ingredients, even if none appears in the top 5 individually, that is a red flag that the total sugar content is likely quite high. Manufacturers sometimes split sugar into different types specifically to keep any single one from appearing too high on the list. After checking the ingredients list, I move to the nutrition facts panel, and here I focus on 3 specific things: the ratio of total carbohydrates to fiber, the protein content, and the added sugars. Let me explain each one and why it matters. The ratio of total carbohydrates to fiber is one of the most important metrics for predicting how a food will affect your blood glucose. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose in your digestive system, but fiber is unique because it cannot be broken down by human digestive enzymes. Fiber slows the absorption of glucose into your bloodstream, which means it helps prevent those rapid spikes that cause so many problems. A good rule of thumb is to look for foods where every 10 grams of total carbohydrates includes at least 1 gram of fiber. Even better is a ratio of 5 to 1 or better. For example, if a cereal has 30 grams of total carbohydrates per serving, I want to see at least 3 grams of fiber and ideally 6 grams to the total number of carbohydrates. This ratio helps you identify foods that will be digested more slowly and will have a gentler impact on your blood glucose levels. Unfortunately, most processed foods have had their fiber stripped away during manufacturing, which is why a slice of white bread or a bowl of cornflakes can spike your glucose just as rapidly as eating pure sugar. The fiber that was originally present in the wheat or corn has been removed, leaving behind rapidly digestible starch. When you compare products in the grocery store, use this carbohydrate to fiber ratio as one of your primary decision-making tools. If you are choosing between 2 types of bread or 2 breakfast cereals, pick the one with the better ratio. Next, look at the protein content. Protein is absolutely essential for seniors because it helps maintain muscle mass, supports immune function, aids in wound healing, helps regulate blood glucose, and increases satiety so you feel satisfied longer. Many seniors do not consume enough protein, partly because our appetites often decrease with age and partly because we have been given misguided advice to limit protein intake. Research consistently shows that older adults need more protein per pound of body weight than younger adults to maintain health and prevent muscle loss. When looking at the nutrition facts panel, check the protein line and remember that higher is generally better. If you are choosing a snack, a cereal, a yogurt, or any other food item, prioritize options with meaningful protein content. A good yogurt might have 15 to 20 grams of protein per serving. A good protein bar should have at least 10 grams. Even your breakfast cereal can provide some protein if you choose wisely, though you will likely need to add additional protein sources like nuts or seeds to reach optimal levels. The third thing I look for is added sugars. This is relatively new information that has been required on nutrition labels in recent years, and it is incredibly valuable. The Nutrition Facts panel now distinguishes between total sugars and added sugars. Total sugars include both naturally occurring sugars like those found in fruit or milk and sugars that have been added during processing. Added sugars are the ones you need to watch carefully. The American Heart Association recommends limiting added sugars to no more than 25 grams per day for women and 36 grams for men, though many experts believe even these limits are too high, especially for seniors concerned about metabolic health. When you look at a product and see that it contains 15 grams of added sugar per serving, realize that this is more than half of your recommended daily limit from just one food item. This is why products like flavored yogurt, granola bars, and even some pasta sauces can sabotage your health goals despite appearing nutritious. They are loaded with added sugars that spike your glucose and trigger inflammation. Now let me address some of the misleading terms you will see on food packaging and explain why you should not let them influence your purchasing decisions. Organic sounds healthy, and it is true that organic farming practices can be better for the environment and reduce pesticide exposure. But organic does not mean low in sugar or beneficial for your glucose levels. You can buy organic cookies, organic candy, and organic breakfast cereal that will spike your blood glucose just as dramatically as their conventional counterparts. Organic cane sugar is still sugar, and your body processes it exactly the same way. Vegan is another term that creates a false health halo. There are countless vegan junk foods on the market. Oreos are vegan. French fries cooked in vegetable oil are vegan. Many highly processed meat substitutes are vegan, but are made from refined flours and isolated proteins with additives and flavorings. Being vegan tells you nothing about whether a food will support stable glucose levels or provide beneficial nutrients. Unless you follow a vegan diet for ethical or religious reasons, the vegan label should have zero influence on your purchasing decisions. Gluten-free is similarly misleading. Unless you have celiac disease or a diagnosed gluten sensitivity, there is no reason to seek out gluten-free products, and many gluten-free baked goods are actually worse for your glucose levels than their wheat-based counterparts. This is because manufacturers often replace wheat flour with rice flour, potato starch, or cornstarch, which are even more rapidly digested and cause even larger glucose spikes. Gluten-free does not mean low carb, and it does not mean blood sugar friendly. Fat-free or low-fat products are often among the worst offenders when it comes to hidden sugars. When manufacturers remove fat from a product, they typically need to add something else to maintain flavor and texture, and that something is usually sugar. A low-fat yogurt might contain 2 or 3 times as much sugar as a full-fat version. Fat does not spike your blood glucose, and it helps you feel satisfied, so the fat-free label is actually a warning sign that you should check the sugar content very carefully. Natural is perhaps the most meaningless term on food packaging because there is no strict legal definition. Manufacturers can call almost anything natural as long as it does not contain synthetic additives. Sugar is natural. High fructose corn syrup is derived from corn, which is natural. The natural label tells you absolutely nothing about the nutritional value or glucose impact of a food. No sugar added sounds promising, but read carefully. This term means that no additional sugar was added during processing, but it says nothing about the naturally occurring sugars in the product. A fruit juice can claim no sugar added even though it contains 30 grams of natural fruit sugar per serving, which will spike your glucose just as effectively as added sugar. Your body does not distinguish between natural and added sugars once they are absorbed. Now, let me give you some practical examples of how to apply this knowledge in real grocery store situations. Imagine you are in the cereal aisle looking for a breakfast cereal. You see several options with appealing health claims on the front. One says whole grain, another says organic, a third says gluten-free. How do you choose? First, flip each box over and check the ingredients list. If sugar or any form of sugar appears in the top 5 ingredients, put it back on the shelf. Next, look at the nutrition facts panel and calculate the carbohydrate to fiber ratio. If a cereal has 40 grams of carbohydrates and only 2 grams of fiber, that is a ratio of 20:1, which is poor. If another cereal has 30 grams of carbohydrates and 10 grams of fiber, that is a ratio of 3:1, which is much better. Then check the protein content. Most breakfast cereals are very low in protein, so you will likely want to add nuts, seeds, or Greek yogurt to your breakfast to bring the protein up to a healthier level. Finally, check the added sugars. Many cereals that appear healthy contain 10, 12, or even 15 grams of added sugar per serving, which is excessive. Your best choices will be cereals with minimal added sugar, a good carbohydrate to fiber ratio, and whole food ingredients you can recognize. Or consider skipping cereal entirely and choosing a savory breakfast with eggs, vegetables, and some healthy fats, which will keep your glucose much more stable throughout the morning. Let me give you another example. You are looking for a yogurt. The dairy aisle is filled with options, from regular yogurt to Greek yogurt, from full fat to fat-free, from plain to flavored with fruit. Here is how to evaluate them. First, compare the protein content. Greek yogurt typically has about twice as much protein as regular yogurt because the whey has been strained out, leaving behind more concentrated protein. That makes it a better choice for most seniors. Next, check the sugar content. Plain yogurt has only the natural lactose from milk, usually about 5 to 7 grams per serving, and this milk sugar has a minimal impact on glucose. Flavored yogurts, however, often contain 15, 20, or even 25 grams of total sugar per serving, much of it added sugar. If you want flavor, buy plain Greek yogurt and add your own fresh berries. You will get the flavor you enjoy plus beneficial fiber and antioxidants from the fruit, and you will consume far less sugar overall. As for the fat content, do not be afraid of full-fat yogurt. The fat helps slow digestion and improves absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Fat-free yogurt often has more added sugar to compensate for the lost flavor and texture. One more example, you are buying bread. Some loaves claim to be whole wheat, others say whole grain, some are labeled multi-grain, and others claim to be organic or artisanal. Start by reading the ingredients list. The first ingredient should be whole wheat flour or whole grain flour, not enriched wheat flour or wheat flour, which are refined flours with the fiber removed. Check the fiber content. A good bread should have at least 3 grams of fiber per slice. Many commercial wheat breads have only 1 gram per slice, which means they are mostly refined flour. Look at the added sugars. Bread does not need added sugar to be delicious, but many commercial breads contain 3, 4, or 5 grams per slice to enhance flavor and browning. Finally, check the ingredients list for unnecessary additives, preservatives, and dough conditioners. A simple bread should contain flour, water, salt, and yeast, possibly with seeds or whole grains added. If the ingredients list is long and filled with chemical names, that is a sign of overprocessing. Making these informed choices at the grocery store will gradually transform your health. When you consistently choose foods with better carbohydrate to fiber ratios, higher protein content, and less added sugar, you will notice that your energy becomes more stable throughout the day, your cravings for sweets decrease, your sleep quality improves, your mental clarity sharpens, and your body composition improves even without restricting calories. This is because you are working with your body's natural glucose regulation systems rather than constantly overwhelming them with rapid spikes. Remember that you do not need to be perfect. There is absolutely room in a healthy diet for occasional treats, and knowing that a food will cause a glucose spike is not a reason to never eat it. Ice cream is ice cream, and we all know it contains sugar. The key is to make that a conscious choice that you enjoy occasionally rather than an everyday occurrence, and to reserve your everyday food choices for items that support stable glucose and provide genuine nutritional value. If you are finding these insights valuable, please leave a comment below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform you of healthy habits as you age. Click the video above that reveals the exact step-by-step method that has transformed lives across the country. Know that thousands of seniors are already experiencing renewed health, boundless energy, and the vitality they deserve. Their lives have been transformed, and yours could be next. Just watch the video in the upper right of your screen to answer the big question. As a senior, how do I regain my health and vitality?